Yo, yo, yo. Hey, everyone. Welcome back to the Safe Space Podcast. I'm your host, Malakai. And if you've been listening to this show for a while, you've probably heard me say something we talk about very often in the spaces with children. I talk about this all the time, I know. I have a specific episode towards the beginning of the start of this podcast about this. But behavior is communication. I talk about this a lot. A whole lot. When kids act out, when they push boundaries, when they yell, cry, refuse, or even disrupt, there's usually a message underneath why this behavior is taking place. But today, I want to talk about something that we don't discuss enough, because behavior isn't the only form of communication. Silence is communication too. So today's episode, the 15th episode of Safe Space, woo, yes sir. But today's episode is called Behavior is Communication, but so is silence. And we're going to talk about the kids who don't yell, don't disrupt, don't demand attention, and often gets overlooked. Let's get into it. Segment 1. The kids who never cause problems. Every classroom, youth group, aftercare space, or mentoring environment has them. The kids who follow instructions. The kids who sit quietly. The kids who don't argue. The kids who don't disrupt the group. The kids who rarely ask for help. And because they're not causing problems, we often assume that they're fine. But sometimes those are the exact kids we kind of need to pay attention to, because silence doesn't always mean peace. Sometimes silence means I've learned not to bother anyone. And it's crazy that kids learn to set boundaries like that this early, or learn to put walls up at such an early age. But it happens. Section 2. The invisible child. Some children become invisible in group settings, not because they want to be unseen, but because they've learned that attention usually goes to the loudest need. The disruptive student, the one acting out, the one demanding correction. And while those children absolutely need support, something subtle happens in the background. The quiet child watches, and they start to believe something quietly. If I stay out the way, I won't be a problem. So they shrink. They participate less. They share less. They ask for help less. And over time, silence becomes their strategy. Section 3. Silence as self-protection. Sometimes silence is a coping mechanism. A child may stay quiet because they're afraid of embarrassment. They're used to being ignored. They don't trust adults just yet. They've learned their feelings aren't welcomed, or they simply don't feel safe speaking up. Silence can be a shield, a way to stay safe without drawing attention. And if we're not careful as the adults looking over them, we mistake that shield for maturity. That's good. That is really good, guys. Sometimes if we overlook, we just look, oh, they're more mature than these. They don't need my attention as much. They don't need support here. So we got to really be careful. We have to really watch. Segment 4. The overly independent kid. Another child who communicates through silence is the overly independent one. The kid who always says, I got it, I'm fine, I don't need help. At first glance, that independence looks very impressive. But sometimes independence isn't confidence. Sometimes it's survival. Some kids learn early that relying on people doesn't always work. So they stop asking. They stop expecting support. They stop showing vulnerability. And when adults praise them only for being that so independent child, we may unknowingly reinforce their isolation. So we got to be careful. We have to observe and we have to ask questions. Segment 5, the high achieving silent kid. Then there's another type of quiet communication. The child who performs well, the one with the good grades, the responsible ones, the one that we all call the good kid, quote unquote. Because they succeed outwardly, we assume that everything is okay. But high achievement can sometimes hide pressure. Pressure to stay perfect. Pressure to never disappoint. Pressure to maintain the image of being the responsible one. And when that pressure builds, silence becomes the container. They carry everything quietly. We have to be careful with the pressure that we put on our children. Whether you're a parent, whether you're a teacher, whether you're a mentor, whether you're a guidance counselor, whatever it may be, we have to be careful when it comes to pressure. Segment 6, not every need is loud. One of the most important lessons adults can learn when working with kids is the loudest behavior isn't always the deepest need. Some children scream their needs, and you have others that whisper them. And some communicate through absence, through quietness, through withdrawal, through the things that they don't say. If we only respond to the loudest signals, we unintentionally overlook the quieter ones. And those children learn something very powerful. Attention only comes when things go wrong. Segment 7, creating space for quiet voices. So, how do we support children who communicate through silence? Let's get into it. Let's walk through it. First, we have to create space, not pressure, as I said a couple minutes ago. We have to create space, not pressure. Not spotlight, but space. Instead of calling them out publicly, we check in privately. Instead of assuming that they're fine, we stay curious. Sometimes the most powerful question you can ask a child is simple. Hey, how are you really doing? Not rushed, not distracted, just present. My sister Tyra, she always does this. She does this with everybody. Shout out Tyra. Tyra always asks when she loves to check in on her people and anybody in general. She actually taught me this. Anytime she checks in, she'll say, "Are you okay?" But I want the real answer. I want the honest answer. Give me the long version too while you're at it. and she doesn't take no for an answer. She can tell, that's what comes with, us prophetic people, prophetic spiritual people that are deeply rooted. But hey, that's another thing for another time. But no, for real, the most powerful question that you can ask somebody is, hey, how are you doing? Truly. Don't rush it. No distractions, just present, just be present. And sometimes that simple moment of attention tells them something they've been waiting to feel. I'm seen. That's it. Some children just want to feel seen. Segment 8, intentional attention. Another important practice is intentional attention. Not just attention when behavior is disruptive, but attention when things are calm. Acknowledging effort, inviting participation gently, giving encouragement without forcing the spotlight. When quiet children receive consistent, safe attention, they begin to learn something new. They'll say things like, I don't have to disappear to belong here. In segment 9, the adult's awareness. Ultimately, this comes down to awareness. As adults, it's easy to focus on the behaviors that require immediate correction. But emotional safety also requires noticing what isn't loud, who rarely speaks, who never asks for help, who blends into the background. Because sometimes the child who seems the easiest to manage is the one carrying the most quietly. Before we close, I really want to leave you with this thought. In every space where children gather, there are loud signals and there are quiet signals. Some children communicate through disruption. Others communicate through silence. Both are speaking. Both are asking something. Both deserve to be noticed. So the next time you walk into a room full of kids, pay attention not only to who is loud, but also to who is quiet. Because behavior is communication. But silence is too. And sometimes the quietest child in the room is hoping that someone will notice. Thank you guys for listening to the Safe Space Podcast. If this episode resonated with you, share it with another educator, another mentor, another caregiver, another pastor, another youth minister, whoever it is, who wants to make sure that no child goes unseen. I'll see you next time. Stay aware, stay compassionate, continue to build safe spaces, and remember, every child is a seed. It just takes I had a brain fart, guys. I'm so sorry. Every child is a seed. It just takes someone willing to water them. Peace.